The movie starts with a death. Annie's mother had passed away. And even though it was her own mother, the way Annie talked about her at the service felt distant, cold even. She mentioned how private her mom had been, secretive, and you could tell there was a lot left unsaid. After the funeral, things felt strange around the house. Off balance. Annie lived with her husband Steve, their teenage son Peter, and their daughter Charlie. Charlie, she was different. She made this odd clicking noise with her tongue, always drawing eerie pictures in her notebook. She didn't talk much, didn't fit in, and she had been especially close to Annie's mother. Disturbingly close. Annie had once said that her mom took over Charlie when she was born, like she belonged to her. Life goes on, though. Annie tried to throw herself back into her work. She was an artist. She made miniature houses, perfectly crafted little replicas of real places and moments. It was how she processed life. Pain, memory, but nothing felt normal. Then came the party. Peter wanted to go. Annie told him to take Charlie with him. Maybe she could socialize a bit. She didn't want to go, but she did. And at the party, while Peter was off getting high with his friends, Charlie ate some chocolate cake. What nobody realized was that the cake had nuts in it. Charlie was allergic. She started gasping, struggling to breathe. Peter saw her and panicked. He picked her up, ran to the car, and started driving, fast, to get her to the hospital. Charlie couldn't breathe. She opened the window to get air, and then, just as Peter swerved to avoid a dead deer in the road, she leaned out. She hits a telephone pole. Her head is gone. Peter couldn't even look back. He drove home, parked the car, walked into the house, went up to bed, and left her body in the back seat. The next morning, Annie went out to the car, and when she saw what was left of her daughter, her scream could shatter the air. The grief hit the family like a tidal wave, but it didn't pull them together. It tore them apart. Peter could barely function. Annie started sleepwalking again. Steve tried to hold everyone together, but you could tell he was barely keeping it together himself. Then Annie met a woman named Joan at a grief support group. Joan said she'd lost her grandson. She was kind and warm, and for the first time, Annie didn't feel completely alone. They started meeting. And one day, Joan said something strange. She'd connected with her dead grandson through a seance. At first, Annie thought she was crazy, but Joan showed her, right in front of her in Joan's apartment. The glass moved. A voice spoke. Something was there. And when Annie tries it, something answers. She believes it's Charlie. But things spiral fast. Glass shatters. Objects move. Peter starts screaming in his sleep. He hears Charlie's tongue click right behind him. Then the horror really kicks in. Peter sees his reflection smiling back at him, even when he's not. He hears voices, feels watched. One day, Peter was in class. He raised his hand to speak, but suddenly his face twisted, his body locked. He slammed his head into the desk so hard it broke his nose. That wasn't him. Something had taken over. Steve had to come pick him up. Peter, dazed, bruised, broken, sat in the passenger seat, his nose cracked, his eyes hollow. Steve said nothing on the drive, just drove. Quiet, number. And Annie? She finds her daughter's headless body in the attic, arranged in a ritual. Annie was desperate. She went through her mother's old things and found books, symbols, photographs. That's when she realized something horrifying. Joan and her mother had known each other. They had been part of a cult that worshipped something ancient, something evil, a demon named Paimon. Charlie had been a vessel, a placeholder. But the demon needed a male body to fully manifest. Peter. That's who they were after now. When they got home, Annie saw her son. She and her husband helped him toward his room. She tries to warn Steve, tells him about the cult, begs him to help burn Charlie's old sketchbook to break the curse. Steve thinks she's gone insane. So, she throws the book into the fire herself. But instead of the book, Steve goes up in flames. Annie watches screaming as her husband is burned alive right in front of her. And Annie, something changed in her. Her grief, her guilt, her desperation, it opened a door. She wasn't Annie anymore. She became hollow. And something else stepped in. That night, when Peter woke up, the house was quiet. Too quiet. He walked through, confused, afraid, and saw his father's burned body. Then, slowly, he looked up, into the corner of the ceiling. Annie was there, clinging like an animal, her eyes wide and blank. She chased him through the house, moving in ways a human shouldn't, silent, floating, jerking. Peter ran to the attic. Inside, he found more horror, a circle of candles, a headless body kneeling, his grandmother's body. Then, he heard something behind him. Annie, floating, with piano wire in her hands. She began cutting her own throat, slicing deeper and deeper, until her head dropped. Peter screamed, threw himself out the window. He hit the ground, still, quiet. And then, a shimmer of light moved across the yard and into his body. He stood up, walked slowly to the treehouse. Inside, the cult was waiting, bowing, headless. They placed a crown on his head. Joan looked up and said, "You're okay now, Charlie." Your Paimon, one of the 8 kings of hell, they had done it. They had given him a body, and the family was gone. Forever.